Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Recruit, Engage, Repeat webinar today. We're so happy everyone's joining. If you want to drop into the chat where you're joining from, we would love to know. Awesome. We've got Anaheim, Massachusetts. Ooh, I'm in Portland, Oregon too, Janelle. Awesome. Rhode Island. All right, looks like we're about filled up here, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So we're just going to introduce ourselves here today. Mark is going to hop on a little bit later on at the end of this, but Nick and I are going to start this off. So my name is Dana Martell. I am the team lead here of digital marketing at Daxco. So I'll be talking to you a little bit about digital advertising here today.
All right, thanks, Dana. My name is Nick Lindauer. I head up the Demand and Digital Services group within Daxco. We oversee all the digital services for all of Daxco clients that engage with us. But that's the boring stuff. What we're really here to talk to you today is about volunteers. And we all know that volunteers are the lifeblood of nonprofit work. But if we're being like super honest, keeping that pipeline full is way hard. I see it firsthand. My wife actually works in a nonprofit and deals with volunteers on a weekly basis. And things that I hear on a weekly basis, it's all about an uphill battle. She has to work on bringing in new faces, keeping those core volunteers engaged, and fighting overall volunteer burnout. Keeping those core volunteers, you always have your top 10% of volunteers that do the most, but those are the ones that burn out because let's be real, life gets in the way, especially when we got parents of school-age children. Life is going to get hectic super fast. 1 month it's sports, the next it's school plays or travel. Suddenly their availability just zaps out and you need more. You need to keep that pipeline full for volunteers and also for leads and members. We all know that, but we're specifically today talking about volunteers, those people that are giving you their free time and they're giving it to you for free. But if you don't have a way to reliably recruit, re-engage, and retain those volunteers, you're going to be stuck in this big scramble mode. We're going to miss shifts. You're going to have stressed staff of those folks that are left holding the bag because guess what? Three to four volunteers called out last minute, and you're going to lose momentum for not only your staff, those ones that are left doing the majority of the work, but also for your members or your attendees to these programs that are actually relying on those volunteers to participate and help guide them through whatever event it may be, specifically like camps. Like that's a big thing where we are in Austin, Texas, and we're talking about summer camps right now because school's out this week and parents are stressed to the max. So volunteers are being demanded and pulled left, right, and sideways. But that's what we're here today. We're going to show you how to build a system, a digital first sustainable system so that you're not relying on hope or last minute emails and text messages and like begging your friend to, hey, come help me with this event. So that's what we're going to cover today. Before we jump into all of that, let's go over a quick little poll. I want to hear from you. What are the biggest challenges right now if you are actively working with volunteers you're dealing with? Is it recruiting those new folks? Are you keeping the ones you have engaged? Are you promoting new volunteer opportunities? Hopefully you have new volunteer opportunities, right? Or is it managing all that data and impact tracking? That's another big one to think about. Let's go ahead and vote over there, and we'll look at those results in just a minute. It's going to help us focus today's conversation on what you actually need to know about the most. Keeping the ones we have engaged, that seems to be popping up quite a bit. And recruiting, right? We all need more volunteers. We also need those ones to stay engaged. I see things coming in the poll and I see things coming in chat with votes. So we're kind of getting them all over the place. I think we'll have a result here in a minute. Let's see. There we go. All right, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, keep that poll going. I think you'll see it in the pop-up for a second. There it is. There's the results coming in dynamically. Fantastic. All right. I just lost slide control backstage. Thank you. All right. Those are awesome results. So 1, 2, and we'll probably, we're going to hit all of these. We're going to touch on all of these today in form or fashion, but 1 and 2 big ones. So before we jump into specifically 1 and 2, recruiting those new volunteers and keeping the existing ones engaged, we're going to first talk about what a strong volunteer journey looks like from what we're talking about today, from the digital perspective. So let's look at this. Picture this beautiful journey that you've got created that automatically runs overnight so you can sleep and not worry about those volunteers texting you that they're not coming in tomorrow. This is how it's going to work. They're going to see an ad. They're going to see your post or ad either on Facebook or on Google, Instagram, whatever channel you're actually advertising on. They're going to click. They're going to land on a clear, simple sign-up page through something like Volunteer Matters. Mark is going to hop on and talk about his platform today that'll help you generate these landing pages. And then they sign up. A few clicks. There's no paper. There's no friction. They're in your system and they're ready to go. That's the kind of digital experience that we want to create, something that feels like easy for the volunteer and easy for your staff. Remember, we're trying to remove friction on all sides so that you can get more volunteers, because the second that you actually give them something that's manual or clunky, people are going to bounce. They're going to bounce off your page. They're going to leave. They don't want to fill out the paper form. Those paper forms get lost. And then you bury down your team with chasing people, wasting time and energy. You can tell I'm pretty passionate about this because my wife has to deal with this all the time, chasing these volunteers down. But we're going to talk about the front end of this part of the funnel, and then Mark was going to jump in and talk about this from the back end, so how we can streamline all of these. The ultimate goal here is we're going to make it easy for people to say yes. The easier it is for them to say yes to giving you their free time, the more often they will. And that's how we're going to build consistency and momentum. So Dana is going to speak here in 1 second. We're going to talk about the importance of a smooth digital journey. Once somebody's interested, we want to get them into the funnel. But how do we get them there in the first place? This is where the visibility comes in. Dana's going to walk us through how the platforms like Google and Meta can actually help you target the right people and spark that initial interest. So Dana, it's your slide.
Awesome. So yeah, let's dive right into digital advertising. So I know most businesses kind of start off using organic advertising, and this is not paid advertising where we're posting on Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, or Google, any other of the advertising platforms, but not paid. This can be great in the beginning for some brand awareness, but ultimately using paid digital advertising is going to drive a lot more results than organic will. So digital advertising really allows us to rapidly and effectively connect with potential volunteers right where they're already spending time, which is online. So basically with both Meta and Google Ads, we can put our message directly in front of the people who are already really caring about your cause. This really loops in the volunteers at the top of the funnel and can kind of grip them quickly. We've also seen some really great success with this too, with just a really simple proven structure, kind of what Nick was talking about previously, in just a very simple flow where we don't have any sticky points. But in terms of ads, we've seen that clear images, really direct call to actions, and clever micro targeting is a great way to capture these people. Paid search and social ads also going to help us out with targeting specifically. So that kind of micro targeting I was speaking about. So there's 3 kind of factors that go into this: location, interests, and behaviors. So location, obviously we want to reach the people that are only within a reasonable distance of where they can volunteer. Otherwise, if you're in Portland, Oregon, and someone's coming in from Texas, this isn't going to be, obviously they're not going to be able to come in and volunteer. So you're kind of wasting that ad spend by reaching these people outside of your typical location. So we can, especially using Meta, we can use specific location targeting to only reach the people that can physically come into your business. Interest is another big one too. So people who care about the cause, who have expressed interest, maybe by liking different Facebook pages or interacting with different ads or profiles, we can reach those people. So they've already kind of got their foot in the door and we are solidifying that volunteer opportunity. And then that kind of goes a little bit along with behaviors as well, but behaviors can be engaged shoppers or people who have liked a lot of posts on a Facebook page or Instagram or have been on your website a lot. We can target those people as well. So we aren't just kind of randomly guessing. And with organic social, people are kind of coming to you, but with paid social, we're coming to them. So it's a lot higher conversion rates for these volunteers. Scalable reach with measurable results. So that's super great. Organic social, we can't really tell exactly who's converting, but with paid social, we have clear KPIs where we can see those things and see those results coming through. And then lastly, testing is extremely important with paid advertising. And we can basically test out different creative and ads to see what relates best to the volunteers that we want to pull into our business. So if they're like videos, for example, things with a lot more movement really get people excited and want to join a cause. So that, for example, is a great way to kind of test out that advertising with your volunteers. Next, we're going to talk about Google Ad Grants. So if you haven't dove into this yet as a nonprofit, you absolutely should. Google Ad Grants are very exciting. It is a service from Google that basically allows nonprofits a huge advantage by providing free advertising dollars on Google search. So they're given up to 10K spend per month. And this can be used in most ways. There's a few limitations because you aren't paying for it, but very few. And this can reach out to volunteers as well. So this is a really great way for volunteer acquisition and has worked very well with many different nonprofits that we've worked for. So target keywords, we have some examples right here. Volunteer opportunities near me, mentioning the exact city or the exact program. That's a great way to kind of pull in these people as well. Landing page is extremely important. Mark is going to get into that later on, talking about driving volunteers, not just to a generic landing page on a homepage, but to a Volunteer Matters powered sign-up page. That will make that flow a lot more seamless and really get those people in the door. So Mark will speak on that a little more as well later on. And then lastly, kind of like I mentioned, just with meta ads as well, signing up to volunteer, see opportunities, and using those really strong, intense call to actions to really drive those people home is a great way to utilize Google Ad Grants as well. So if anyone has questions about Google Ad Grants, please follow up with us after. But it's a really great way to utilize just free ad spend for nonprofits.
And just to emphasize here, Dana, is the fact that this is free ad spend. You can get up to $10,000 a month free for your nonprofit. And I mean, who doesn't want to come to their boss and say, "Hey, I got an extra 10 grand a month we can invest in advertising." As long as you're driving it to a page that drives a conversion that Google can then measure, it works. And that conversion can be something as simple as a form sign up, a calendar sign up. It can be anything that actually just goes from one page to another and is technically a conversion, so Google can measure performance. It's free money. That's why we're presenting it first, because when we're talking about building up that funnel of your volunteers, this is the first one to start with because it's free. So if you've not signed up, go sign up today, get that free money, and then, or you can ask us how to do it. We're happy to walk you through that. But that is first and foremost for a nonprofit. Everybody should be signing up for Google Ad Grants and qualifying for those free dollars. Yep,
absolutely. And then next, we're going to dive into meta ads. So just like Nick was saying, Google Ad Grants first, free money, absolutely take advantage of that. Your next step is going to be meta ads. So these are going to be paid, again, not organic ads. So you do need to pay for this, but we have seen really, really great return on this in terms of ROI and just volunteers signing up. So as I was saying on a couple slides previously, you can micro-target again by location, interest, behavior. But past this, we can also target by age and really specific nonprofits as well. So that's a great way to kind of utilize that function and also just continue testing and see what's working and what's not, so that when you are putting these ads out, you know 100% these are going to work, these are leading to the right place, this is proven effective. So for example, we can utilize meta ads very strategically, and I would really recommend kind of having a strategy behind your ads before you put them out. So some things that we can do is promoting one-time or seasonal volunteer events. This is really exciting because it's one specific event, so so it creates urgency, and you can really capture interest from really motivated volunteers and just have immediate opportunities coming through to them. Something cool on Meta as well, there's you can connect your exact event through Facebook so that they're driven directly to the event sign up page. And that just leaves less room for confusion when signing up. Second, you can retarget your website visitors who didn't complete the sign up form. So this is really great. Basically, you can use your pixel, which we can always help with if there's any confusion with that. But we can reach out to people who have gone through the volunteer process and maybe have clicked that they're interested or started filling out a form, but didn't actually click the submit button or whatever at the end of it. So this reaches out to these people and their return is a lot higher and sign up is a lot higher because obviously they've shown they're really interested already. And then a third potential option here that we've seen great results from is promoting stories of current volunteers. So making sure that the volunteers are having a good experience and trying to get those testimonials from volunteers before they leave is really important. We can use those videos on Meta, on Google, and those kind of enhance emotional connections and really inspire the viewers and volunteers to get involved. So it's a great way to use Meta ads. Next, we're going to dive into SEO. So this is essential. SEO captures organic traffic, and it's especially important because over 70% of volunteer searches begin on Google. That is a huge fact to take away. So, obviously, if that high of a percentage is starting out on Google, we really want you to be found when they are looking that up on Google. So for this to happen, again, a few tactics that work well for us is optimizing your website and content for really specific volunteer-related keywords. We have an example in here as well you can read, but it just helps you really appear prominently in your local search results. So you'll want to put that location in those exact keywords. Another option is implementing structured data to ensure that your events and volunteer opportunities are prominent and that they appear that way. And this really enhances visibility in your search engine results. And again, just make sure that you are being found when people are looking for you. Lastly, just regularly and creating and sharing engaging blog content. I know this can be a bit of a chore to push out, but having this content that's not just kind of selling something and is instead talking about, like, for this example, 5 ways to volunteer with blank this summer, or maybe the benefits of it, what people have gotten out of it in the past, and just make sure that these are going out regularly so that it's helping with SEO when people are looking up volunteer opportunities or anything like that. It's again being triggered by the blogs that you're putting out as well as the keywords and phrases. So finally, just bringing all of this together, this is kind of where to start in all of this. So maximizing your reach without maximizing your budget is huge, and this is kind of the best way to do it. So starting out with Google Grants, like I said, we'd really recommend doing this first. It is completely free. Sign up now. It is a great thing to do. This establishes broad awareness. So this is going to kind of hit that awareness at the top of our funnel. It's going to attract initial interest and draw visitors who are actively searching for volunteer opportunities. The next thing that you'll want to incorporate into this funnel is meta ads, which are Facebook and Instagram again. So leveraging these platforms to just deepen the connections with your audience through storytelling, personal testimonies, and emotional engagement is great. And this, because like I said, you can target everything very specifically, this is kind of a more direct way to connect with these volunteers. And then lastly, retargeting. So this is just a type of strategy. So this can be used in Google Ad Grants and in Meta Ads or on any platform because it's a strategy that we're using. But this is basically reaching out to people who have already expressed that interest, have gone to the website, clicked on the form, but just haven't actually signed up. So we're reaching back out to these people who more than likely will end up signing up afterwards. So we would like to send out a poll for this. If you guys want to try and answer in the actual poll tab so we can calculate that, that would be awesome. So how connected are your volunteer systems today? Would you say that super buckled up, everything's in one place, we have no problems with our volunteer systems, multiple tools that are kind of working together? Is it a lot of manual work where you're pulling from different areas, or pure chaos, data lives everywhere? That's perfectly fine as well. And then we're just getting started, just beginning out here. So let's give everyone a minute to answer these.
Those that are saying that everything is in one place, can you put in chat where that place is? I'm curious to know what platforms everyone is using out there, because it looks like we have some people actually saying it's in one place. And it's okay to say paper. If that's where it is, that's okay too.
Awesome. Volunteer matters. That's great.
Sweet. Mark is going to come on stage and he's going to love that. Fantastic.
Awesome. So it looks like most people are kind of doing a good amount of manual work, which totally understand that. It can definitely be a process to put all these pieces together into one place, which is the goal. When Mark talks later on, he'll definitely be able to speak a little more to how those can all work synergistically. But that's great to hear. Backstage, I think I lost the moving forward button. Awesome, thank you. All right, so now that I've talked to you all about kind of the digital advertising portion of it, and Nick's filled you in on that as well, we can kind of get to the next question. We've driven someone to the page using our advertising techniques, and now what comes next? So having a really great engagement experience is key. People often will fall off if you're not having a good landing page and great automation past the point of your digital ads. And that is where Volunteer Matters comes in. So Mark, if you want to go ahead and speak on that.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Mark Hopwood. I'm the president and co-founder of Volunteer Matters. Glad to see so many current customers on today's presentation, and really excited to be working with Daxco in new and even more embedded ways, which is awesome. So we heavily focus on a recipe that surrounds really extraordinary volunteerism. And there are these different areas that we always key in on, that you're doing a great job of promoting your volunteer opportunities, that you're eliminating any barriers to engage your volunteers, that you're empowering both the volunteers and your staff by giving them good tools and centralized resources, getting their feedback, you're measuring impact. We're obviously focusing on this first element here, which is promoting volunteerism. So I've been talking a lot about ways in which we can essentially get some attention surrounding it using digital ads, Meta, Google, things of that nature. And it's once you have that attention, which is awesome, and you might actually be spending some great amount of resources and time and energy in order to make that happen. We also have to make sure that we have some place we can point the volunteer to in order to educate them, because we can get people excited, but we have to actually give them information in order for them to take action. So we always say that eyeballs plus education equals engagement. So eyeballs alone aren't enough. And education without the eyeballs on it isn't going to do anything for you either. So, we've been talking a bit this afternoon about how we can get those eyeballs via social media and in paid advertising. So now, once we do get that attention, where do we point that to? Where do we direct that energy to? So in addition to some of the things we've talked about today, there are also other traditional means to get those eyeballs, including email, text messaging, traditional media, and partnerships. So I just wanted to briefly go over some of these other things that you should be considering. Social media, in the sense that it's not just about paid ads on Meta, it's also about actually getting online and engaging via social media, and also asking your volunteers to engage on social media on your behalf. So you can post engaging content, pictures, video clips. Videos are best. But you can also ask your volunteers to share about their experiences, what things they're signing up, what they're doing for you as volunteers. One of the best ways that we've seen to work with that is actually to get a volunteer to do that for you. So youth volunteers, teen volunteers would absolutely love to do some social media engagement. Not that you want to necessarily hand them the keys to your social media accounts, but they certainly can do things like produce little video cuts from events and volunteer opportunities that you can use in those things quite easily. So they are great content generators. The other thing is for a big part of this is re-engaging volunteers that have worked with you in the past. So you should have a centralized system that's tracking everybody that's done work for you in the past, people that are signing up today, and utilizing email as one of the methods we can go back and re-engage them. Just a few quick tips on this is that email is like the best method. Social media is the best method for anybody under the age of 40. Email is the best method for anybody that is a boomer age. They prefer, it's like 81% of boomers prefer email over everything else. A lot of our volunteers nationally, the majority of volunteering is actually happening by boomers and people in retirement age. But we also do want to replenish the troops, so to speak, and make sure we're also focusing on younger volunteers. So with email, make sure you're using snappy headlines, but keep them concise. Using bullet items, don't make them text heavy. And personalizing them makes a big difference. Also, we want to prevent via email, text, anything else from spamming our audiences. So we very much believe in targeted email recruitment. If you have volunteers that you know volunteer in a certain area, have certain skills, have certain interests, have engaged you recently, haven't engaged you in a while, you should be able to segment your emails to be able to target specific populations rather than just constantly bombarding your entire database of volunteers every single time you're recruiting someone. So I mentioned text messaging. This one is one where you have to be a little bit more careful. Even with email, you have to make sure that you're using a tool that allows people to opt out, set their preferences, because again, we don't want to spam or frustrate the people that are out there. The best database of people are the people who have interacted with you in the past, so they're not going to be upset about you coming back and trying to communicate with them again. With text recruitment, it's a little more sensitive because there's actually a lot more in the ways of laws surrounding texting people. So again, a good system to help you navigate that is important. You have to really obtain explicit consent from somebody in order to text them. And so even if you have their mobile number, they actually need to opt in. So if you have a tool that is, where you're capturing people's mobile numbers, if you do want to text them, you also have to have them opt in and say, yes, I will allow you to text me. You also have to give them tools the same as you would with email to change those preferences, to reply stop, to make sure that they can get off those if they no longer want to receive them anymore. And obviously with text, you want to keep things brief and concise as well. Easy opt-out, obviously, big deal there. There's also traditional stuff. So these are things you're probably doing already. I'm not asking you to go out and start taking out newspaper ads to go recruit volunteers. But if you already have things going on for your organization, you already have some sort of vehicles that you're advertising, even if it's events that you participate in, maybe you have a booth at a local, volunteer fair or nonprofit fair or something like that. You should be considering volunteer recruitment as a part of that, even if it's just a slice of what you're doing, that when you are talking about your organization and promoting it, that one of the things you make sure you do include in their action items is to volunteer. So try not to forget about that. So we want people to be members and we want them to be donors, but we want them to be volunteers too. So make sure you're keeping that trifecta of things in mind whenever you're using any sort of traditional advertising. The other one that I'll strongly for free. It's just about relationship building. I have a whole segment that I do on corporate in order for them to give you their employees time to volunteer with you. And those are really great people to convert into members and donors as well. You also may have local partners in your community where they may bring you volunteers, local religious organizations or other community partners. If you have events or programs in need of that help, then by all means, start building those relationships and asking them to point people to you. right? So the big thing though is that where do you point them to? So sometimes we'll see organizations that do a fantastic job of getting all sorts of eyeballs everywhere. And then when they go to point them someplace, the resource they point them to doesn't quite have enough information. So I see a lot of pages on people's websites that are, they have a menu item all to themselves that say volunteer. And then there's some brief or vague way in which volunteers can help, along with a link to email or download a PDF or call someone. Every person under the age of 40 will scream, running and kicking away from calling or emailing anybody. What they want to be able to do is they want to be able to gauge on a level where they can walk away very easily. They just want to get informed and learn a little bit more. So this is where you want to have some sort of digital presence online where you can talk about the different things that your organization offers to volunteers. And it needs to get, you don't want it to be too text heavy, but it needs to provide enough information to get all of the big questions out of the way before they are willing to take any action. The easiest action to take is to click on a link and read a little bit, see some bullet items, find out what types of opportunities are available for your organization. So we advocate for a catalog of all of your volunteer opportunities, and our product helps build dynamic ones that they change over time and promote the things that are going on. And then when things end, they go away. But so that they can see all of the events, programs, initiatives that utilize volunteers for your organization. So you want to provide them some means to be able to search and filter through that easily so that they can really go, okay, this is something I can see myself doing. Now, for each program, event, or initiative, you should have a landing page for that, so that wherever it is, if you're putting money out there in order to get some ads to point people to volunteer for a mentorship program, then there should be some place they can go to learn about what is the description of this event, what is expected of me as the volunteer, what sort of resources will I be provided, what sort of guidance and management will I be given, what is my time commitment. So all of those things should be conveyed. Again, you want it to be robust enough to answer the major questions, but not too verbose that we're sort of losing attention. The last thing, the most invested thing that people would do, where they are basically giving up the most of themselves, aside from doing the actual volunteer opportunity, is to call or email somebody. So clicks are the way to go. So if they can take a catalog of the different volunteer initiatives, programs that you have, click into one of them that seems interesting to them, read more about that program or project from a high level, and then even drill down into a specific job or role that they can participate to say, oh, well, when exactly is this? Is this something I would like to do? Is this something I'm capable of doing? And then even when they want to get started, can we get to the point where they can, again, click a link to get started? So I know exactly what I'm getting myself into. I have an idea of what the organization offers, what this particular event or initiative offers, what this specific job requires of me. And I know I'm only committing myself to X number of hours, or maybe even it's X number of weeks. Maybe it's a coaching job for a season. Maybe it's just to work at a 5K fundraiser for a couple of hours. But at that point, I can sign up digitally. Now, people would always have the opportunity to call or email. We want to make it as easy as possible for them to do everything entirely on their own without interacting with somebody, because it is actually what volunteers want. They actually don't want to have to call somebody or email them, although it's beautiful if and when they want to. So we want to give them that option, right? So the big thing here is that when the only time people will take action on something is when we've eliminated any fear of the unknown. And that's what these different elements do, is they just answer some of the questions ahead of time so that they can feel confident that what they're about to do or sign for, even if it's just to generally register for anything. Like you could have something on there, just, hey, click here. You can register and we're going to do a little interview with you, and then we'll find something that fits your needs. Whatever your organization's approach is awesome. But we just want to be able to answer those questions a little bit in advance so that they'll actually do that. There is no fear of the unknown. We've sort of eliminated those things. So it's a balance. It's a balance between eyeballs, education, and action. The more eyeballs we get, fantastic. The more answers we can provide to them before taking action, even better. All right. And as far as our system goes, we're centralizing everything under one umbrella so that all of that volunteer contact information, their registration and onboarding process, their training, their signups, their reminders, your communication with them, automating birthday emails, running reports on who's doing what, where, when, why, and how much of. And then also obviously integrating so that all of these systems talk to one another, like Volunteer Matters and DAXCO being able to communicate to share data back and forth, which I think is the perfect segue into the next slide. So DAXCO operations and Volunteer Matters. So this has been a long time coming. We've been talking about this forever. And now it's happening, which is really, really exciting. So DAXCO is building an integration to Volunteer Matters, which is going to be launched very soon, so that the volunteer profile, say they register in Volunteer Matters, that it's shared with DAXCO. If changes are made to that profile, that information is shared back and forth. And this way you would be able to see what the volunteer status is in member records, syncing that information back and forth, clear metrics. So now you'll be able to know who your members are, which of those members volunteer, who your volunteers are, which of those volunteers aren't members. So we can boost a lot of things: volunteer recruitment, membership recruitment, general communications and relationship building, now making sure that everything is synced between both systems.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. That was fantastic. What we're going to do now, we're going to go ahead and open it up to any questions. If you've got questions on anything that we've covered, either the tools we've mentioned, the campaigns, campaign marketing strategies, Mark just touched on the integrations with DAXCO. You can go ahead and drop them in the Q&A or drop them in the chat. You've got that up in the upper right-hand corner. We're also going to have a survey that's going to pop up here in the upper right-hand corner as well here in a second. If you would take that for us, and please do, so we can continue to evolve our webinar content. And if you're just sitting there thinking, hey, all this sounds great, where do I even start? You're not alone. Like we all want to get started. We all want more volunteers and to work on that. So, but that's what we're here for. We're here to help you. So you see on the screen, you see two QR codes. One that's going to connect you with our DAXCO team, and one to reach out to Volunteer Matters. And if you get your wires crossed, we'll make sure you talk to the right person. It's okay. But we've got a few questions coming into chat now. When will the integration go live? Mark, do you have any dates on that?
I was given an update. Let me see. I believe it's August that they're looking at right now. I'll double check that and make sure before we get off, I'll confirm, but I believe it's August.
Okay, Kira's saying in chat late June, early July. So sometimes this summer, we're looking at June through August. We know how product development goes and testing. It can take a little while, and it probably might take a little while to roll out, but we are definitely actively working on it. The team is confirming that, but as soon as we have dates, we will let those folks know that are curious. Is there a separate cost to utilize the integration? There
is not.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. What this integration is going to do is just pass the data between the two systems, so there should not be any extra cost for either program or tool. All right. Any other questions? Anything in chat, or did I miss? I think we're pretty clear. Q&A, integration go live. We're good. All right. So before we close out, just want to say, hey, thank you. We know how much time and effort and heart goes into running our volunteer programs. You're not just filling roles, you're building that community, you're impacting your members, the kids that come into your YMCAs, the adults, the over 40 that Mark was talking about. I was feeling a little bit targeted there, but you're all doing work that matters. You're going to get a full recording of this webinar from Goldcast. It'll be in your inbox pretty soon. If it gets lost or anything like that, just reach out to whoever you got this invite from, and we'll make sure you have that. If you want to chat more about anything that we covered today, from strategy to tools to next steps, again, hit those QR codes we gave you. We want to reach out. We want to support driving more volunteers to your organization. And just thanks again. We do have one more question. If you don't have Volunteer Matters, would there be an extra cost then? For the integration, you would have to have Volunteer Matters. I mean, that would be, you'd have to have that connection to have that integration, Lisa. But there's no extra cost if you sign up for a Google Ad Grants and you want to drive volunteers to a landing page that you build off of that. So I think that's everything. If there's any other questions, again, I think I can go back to the QR code. Hit that QR code, connect with the Daxco team, or connect with Mark and the Volunteers Managers team. Again, like I said, we'll make sure that you get connected with the right team with the questions that you have. Reach out to us to talk about Google Ad Grants. You can still get those up before summer. And thanks again for being here and keeping up all the incredible work and driving those volunteers to do work. That's what we have for today. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.